What's happening, everybody? This is Hayden Adams with A Designer Who Codes. In this video, we're taking a look at how to create a form in 2025, and I'm going to use the company FormSpree. It's a great tool to use to help submissions run easily online. Now, there is a price if we go up any higher, but I wanted to show that by default, the free plan gives you 50 submissions for free by default. So if you want to use this for a small project, that is totally fine. Anything higher, 10, 20, 60, now we're going 200, 2,000, 20,000 submissions. So if you've got 20,000 submissions, I definitely say go with one of these companies because you're going to really utilize it with spam protection. Also, there is no file upload, which we're going to take a look at in this project. But just so you know, if you do want to upload files, you'll have to go to the paid plan, the freest to basic setup, which we're going to look at today using this default setup guide and a bootstrap project that I have sitting over here. So if I move my little browser over here, there we go. Bootstrap demo, hello world. I have a little CSS file, but I just made a narrow column in this design. So let's go ahead and build out this form. So in the index page, let me take out my form goes here. What I want to do is I'm going to add a form tag. We'll say form. Wow, typing is all of a sudden difficult today. Form, there we go. We'll come back to this form piece. What I want to do is using Bootstrap, this is just for design, I'm going to say div class, and we'll say margin bottom 3. In here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a label. So we'll say label 4, and we'll say equals email address in here. And the class we're using with Bootstrap, so we'll say class will be a form dash label. And in here, we're going to say email address. After this, after the label, we're going to put an input tag. Now the input will be just like this one right here with a little styling going on. In the Bootstrap demo, after the label, we're going to say input. We're going to say type is going to be email. The name is going to be email. The class, which we're going to use, is form dash control. And the ID, the ID, we're then going to mimic this label 4 to match up for ARIA purposes. ID, email address, and then we're also going to say ARIA described by, and we'll say equals email help. Now what I also want to do, email help, there we go. The email help is just a way to make sure someone knows if I save this. There's our email address right here on the screen. I'm just going to write an email help that basically says we're not going to share this email with anybody else. So what I'm going to do is in this area right here, I'll say div ID email help, we have right there. Class we're going to use as a form text based upon Bootstrap. And we're just simply going to say, will never share your email with anyone else. This just makes someone understand, hey, we're not going to give this to anybody else. This is simply a simple contact form. Awesome. So we have our label, we have our input, we have our email section. Let's go out of that div tag and create a new div and say again, class MB3 for margin bottom 3. And in here, we'll say label 4. And this will be, keeps wanting to go to form today. We're going to say email for text area. In here, we'll then close it up and say message. And it opens and closes my label tag. Awesome. And then we'll have text area. Now this is also important to note in a second or two. We'll say class will be form control. And our ID will match up with the text area. So ID, it will be text area. There we go. Name will be message. And then how many rows do I want? So we're going to say rows equals 3. Now be aware also that you don't want to put any space inside this text area. I know this is counterintuitive for everyone that likes really good code, but if I drop it down, what does happen is you do get this weird space that shows up inside of the area. So what I like to do is make sure, move it back up, that when I close it up, I don't have that information. It's right there at the top. So there's no empty space sitting inside my message. So make sure you open and close your text area with no space inside of there. Awesome. We have our email address and we have our message. Now what I want to do is I want to add a button to actually submit this information. Then we're going to come back to our top and add the necessary information for our form to be successfully submitted. So what I'm going to do is after that div class MB3, let's actually create a little space for visual readability. There we go. Drop it down and we'll say button type is going to be a submit button. And we're going to have a class in this design. We'll just say BTN and then BTN primary, our classic blue button. And we'll say submit. There is our simple little submit button, looking pretty awesome. Now what I have to do with this is that I have to actually sign in for this to work. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to get a form ID. I'll just put this in for right now. And we'll copy and paste that piece. So if we come back up to our form tag at the top, I'll drop it down, we'll indent this. I have to say action equals, and that form ID will be a specific identifier that you'll use when you sign in. Now it'll say create a new form, and that form will give you a form ID. So that's what you got to watch for when you do sign in. Now method is going to be a post. There's two options. There's a get and a post. A get is like Google. A post is like we're doing right here. So when I save this, it looks, well, the same because the form code is behind the scenes in this hello world email address and message. And drop in this one right here. If I submit this, actually adding this form ID, let's test this and see how it works. So we'll add my email address and we'll say this is a test. If I submit this, there we go. Thanks, the form was submitted successfully. So now if I open my email address up and I open my email box, a different screen, what I do get is an information that says, hey, new form submission on our new form. That's me, and the message was this is a test. And don't forget, if you do start seeing spam, you also can mark as spam. But this will count towards your overall number of submissions. So if we move this out a little bit further, that's now down to 49 submissions in 1 month. This is how you can create successful email forms using FormSpree.